All right, I hope you guys are well rested this weekend because there is a ton to get into, both locally here with the Toronto Maple Leafs, nationally, right across 32 teams in total, and maybe a couple of minutes for Sammy to cry about the Buffalo Bills. But it all kind of started Friday night, and we'll get into that in our Leaf Hour edition. Also joining us in about 35 minutes, Craig Simpson, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champion, always a great guest to cover off the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then in our National Hour, Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts. Is he coming in studio or we got him on?
Zooming, so we can only imagine what his hair will look like.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. But hope it was a good weekend.
Good weekend.
I played hockey twice.
Oh, my God.
For the Toronto Maple Leaf alumni.
How was
And I'm not done yet. Yeah. I'm going to work tonight in support of the Toronto Maple Leafs, a night with the blue and white casino style in support for the MLSE Foundation.
If I give you $20, will you play some hands of blackjack for me?
I will, yeah.
All right.
For sure.
Let's do it.
And no matter what it is, I'm hitting. I'm telling you right now.
Hold on, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
We need some
we're aggressive. We're really, really aggressive. So I promised York University goalies Matt Toville and Alex Chu, York University goaltenders, who came out yesterday during our outdoor skate down by the lakeshore.
Cool.
Which was fantastic.
Oh, good day for it, wasn't that
And they were
cold?
great. I beat Chewy with a redirect to open up the scoring. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Might take the day off.
Do you put it in off your off your knee with a gentle kicking motion?
Ooh. Is that the difference of the hockey game Saturday night
Sure
for the
could
Toronto
be.
Maple Leafs? Well, listen, wherever you are watching and listening, Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus, we're glad you are around. The Toronto Maple Leafs, as Justin just said, got totally hosed.
And before you get in there, I also just want to wish a very happy birthday to my lovely wife. It's her
Yes.
birthday today,
Ooh,
so she's,
nice.
at home chilling with a cup of coffee, surely watching us.
Yes.
course.
Right? And not a show.
Happy
not
birthday,
Severance.
Bree.
Yeah, happy birthday to Breezy.
Yeah.
All right,
Happy birthday.
hockey.
Okay, so I got a chance to watch the game because I was in Oshawa Saturday night. We were beating the Boston Bruins alumni. That was just, I hope I didn't undress Ray Bork too many times Saturday night.
Was it the Mario Lemieux putting it through his skates while he was going the wrong way, sort of dangle?
Yeah,
Who else?
kind of that.
Actually, our guest today or tomorrow, Brad May dangled him. Was it not May?
No, May was in the outdoor game. He did not come to Oshawa, but a shout out to everybody that showed up there. I think we had over 4,000 people there.
But hold on, the Mayday goal, was it not Ray Bork that he put it through Bork's
in
feet?
overtime?
Yes. Okay.
Right, that was
Okay.
the Mayday.
Yes, you're right.
Mayday. I thought it was Bork. Yeah.
And Andy Moog,
There
if
you
I'm
go.
not mistaken.
So I think we have Brad May coming on tomorrow.
We do.
Not to
So we
get ahead of
got
the show.
we
here.
got a great week. So I did not watch the game live, but I got a chance to revisit it. Therefore, I'd like to get you guys starting your thoughts first on basically what you got out of a 2-1 Ottawa Senator win.
You know, I'll just say that if Matthews, Marner, Nylander, if those guys don't score goals, they don't win games. And it's black and white, and they didn't score a bunch of goals, so the hockey team did not win the hockey match. I didn't think the team looked any different or anything was all that terrible. Those guys didn't score, and right now the team is in a position where if they don't, they've got two lines of players where they're like, you guys just don't get scored on. We'll wait for those guys to score. The other guys didn't score. That was it.
I was really excited about the emotion of the hockey game at the start, where it was really feisty.
In Ottawa, Leafs fans all over the building.
100% felt like it was really building towards a potential cross-check to the face type of game. Like, it just really kind of felt like that had the potential. You know, with Nick Cousins doing what he did to poor Jacob Quillan and all this different stuff, it felt like it really was bubbling up. And then it just kind of went away.
Like
And it
early
just-
on, like Reeves and
Yeah.
Chuck were in it. It was
just-
like, oh, this is going to get good.
And it just really felt like it was bubbling up, and it just, the emotion just wasn't there for me after that. I felt like it just really quieted down and went away.
All right, let's get Craig Ruby's overview of the game Saturday night, and we'll follow it up.
Well, we didn't. I mean, we had a lot of opportunities. We didn't put it in the net. I think that's the difference. I thought our team played hard. We were ready to go. Thought we did a lot of good things except score. I mean, we had a lot of, and we got better as the game went along.
Yeah, I agree with them. They got better as the game went along, but I didn't like the Leafs start at all.
No.
They were hemmed in the first shift, and just to go back to Marner and Matthews, I don't know. I can't recall seeing Marner worse all season long.
Oh, you didn't like him?
No, didn't like him at all. Didn't like.
You know what's very funny about this
is
I didn't think Matthews was great. So here we go.
But they weren't very good together.
Yeah.
And all the things that Craig Berube was talking about bringing more emotion and, getting off to a good start, like didn't see it out of the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to your point, Austin didn't even get his first shot on goal till about 13 minutes left in the third period.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Well, and it's funny, too, because they did score fairly early. Was it like 6 minutes in or something? Marner passed it to McMann.
The only pass that I saw.
Fantastic pass.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, right
but,
to the slot.
The rest of them kind of,
Yeah.
didn't connect. Like, you
And
usually
so-
see them connect.
It did feel like a game where, to your point, Sam, like in like the 1990s or the even 2000s, where this game gets contentious and feisty, and it does feel sometimes like the Leafs top line doesn't have that bite, and they never will. That's just the way they are. Of whether it's Brady Tkachuk or it's Nathan McKinnon or whatever, it's kind of a low desperation game for a game that it wasn't that desperate. You don't have to win that game, but it should have mattered more than it looked like it did.
I think there's a lot of these games where it's such a huge game for the Sens and it's such a huge game for the Habs, and they ended up blowing the lead to the Leafs, but they come out like a house on fire, where it's so important for them in their building with 80% Leaf fans to come out here and play great, and it's the Super Bowl for them, and all the Leaf fans feel that way, but the players on the ice don't. Like, I really don't get the feeling. Like, we talked a little bit about this on Leafs Talk after the game, and I'll run it by you. But, Austin Matthews this week calls out the fans for being quiet, and, it's an in-person thing for not being loud during a fight, and he thought there wasn't a lot of energy in the building, and it may not be a direct call out of the fan base. But that's the way it's taken, and it's been talked about or whatever. Like, it was a big talking point. And then to go into that game with all that emotion and the way you're fighting and like just everything, and then just to have nothing from him.
So
it just kind of was like, it rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Maybe the press should have interviewed the fans last night and saying, listen, it would have been nice if Austin showed more.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
Well,
could you
this is happening right now. That's what this is.
Everyone.
Opposites day.
Yeah.
Well, listen, everybody, would it have killed you to just cross-check someone in the lower back? Or just be pissed off or like pretend to be pissed off? Everyone's at each other's throats for the first 10 minutes of the game, and there's just zero emotion in it.
Every game we've watched Austin and go, something's wrong, or he must be hurt. That's what he looked like Saturday night.
It starts like that, yeah. When he's really good is taking pucks away from people,
And he's got to jump. He's got to spring. He's
on people quickly with that stick.
He's got to step.
Yeah.
And it was like gone Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
But you didn't
not
like
great,
Marner.
but
I
again,
thought he had the puck a lot. Maybe he's
Yeah,
just
listen, I'm
throwing it away a little bit.
I'm just
but
used to seeing him really good all the time.
standards
That's
are
all.
high.
both of them.
Right?
But it's crazy because, we're talking about those guys because it didn't work for them that night. For the best guys on every team, it doesn't work for them sometimes.
For sure.
That's the way it goes. But you need to have something when it's not going great for them.
And that's what Brady Tkachuk has.
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing
He's obviously
Brady,
a unique player.
I'm not comparing Brady to Austin Matthews, but
I even mean the rest of the lineup, though. But go ahead.
But like, there has to be other ways that you can still get noticed if it's not happening on a game sheet.
Yeah.
And that's where you're looking for something, and it's not the edge that a Brady or Matthew Tkachuk could bring, and I like Max and him kind of going at it. And at the end of the day, if Max finished the game last night and said, listen, like, I was in Brady's face all night, and he He didn't kill us.
Mhm.
He didn't beat us tonight. You know, I did my job.
Yeah.
I was in his face. I distracted him. He didn't kill us on the score sheet. Okay, I did it. I did my job. Right? Where was everybody else?
Yeah. I just, there's so many guys. So Max has something he can do when he's not scoring. He has something that can contribute. And I've said this 100 times in the show, and people are like, we know Bourne. But they have so many guys who you don't require anything from. Pontus Holmberg, you just don't want him to mess up, right? David Camp, play good defense. Do the same thing. Steven Lorentz, just, kill penalties. They have way too many guys in the lineup. Minton, Reeves, Quillan last night.
Punts,
complete punt guys, where you're like, all right, as long as this line doesn't kill us. It's like, even when the Leafs in the past have had third lines you don't love, it's Kasha and it's Engvall and it's Kerfoot. Like, it was like, they're only getting 10 or 15 this year. Not zero. You can't get zero like you're getting from some of these guys. Absolutely nothing. So that's killing them right now.
And you mentioned,
obviously, you're missing guys too. You're injured, so that's a big part of it.
And Borny sent a text in our group chat on Saturday night, and it's just something I noticed as well throughout that game, where I know why Brady Tkachuk doesn't have any goals for 10 games. It's like he's not playing hockey half the game. It's like he's just so focused on asserting his dominance, but then I want to criticize him for it, but I'd kill an aspect of that from some of the Leafs starts. So it's a tough balance, but he's just pushing and running around and like not playing hockey for some of the game.
Honestly, after whistles, I find it like high school shoving with your buddies, immature. Like, just go line up for the next draw sometime.
He has to find that line for sure, and he's still not there.
Like,
he's not.
I totally agree with you.
There's a hockey game happening around you while you're trying to like.
And he's far too talented.
Right.
Like,
he should be getting 40 goals in his sleep, standing at the net,
one
tipping
chance.
pucks. Yeah.
And it's like a big, huge
His first goal
monster.
in 9 or 10 games.
We can all agree Bobby McMann can look pretty good as a frontline guy in terms of running shotgun with top players like Matthews and Marner. He didn't look out of place.
No, he can do it. He can do it for sure. Let's go to Brewby. We got a clip on that. Clip 4, please.
Yeah, I thought he skated really well, but he had 6 shots on net, I think. He scored, obviously, but that line was good. I mean, Bobby looked fine up there to me.
It's crazy how important he is to this team.
Yeah, well, you look at 75% of the Leafs goals have been scored by 6 guys, him being one of the 6.
Listen, I don't know what other options there are, but you guys know how I felt like for a year and a half that it's still a very difficult ask for Bobby McMann or Matthew Nyes to step in and be like top players for the Toronto Maple Leafs to win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if they falter or come short, it's not really entirely on them. It's just how much can you bite off and chew at this point in their careers where they should still be developing to better players.
I get your point. It's just like every roster in the cap era is like, this got some flaws. There's some soft spots. And if you were to pick where you'd have it, you wouldn't pick goalie. You wouldn't pick defense. You wouldn't pick center. You'd be like, I guess wing. So they're soft at one of the wings.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you want to go? You want to go to the non-challenge? So
play the clip, and then we'll talk about it after, okay? So
this is the goal that stood as the game-winning goal Saturday night.
Was there any temptation at all to challenge the winner from Ottawa?
I can't challenge that. That's an upstairs call by the league. They looked at it and said it was a good goal.
Yeah.
You can't challenge that?
No. Unless you challenge a kicking motion.
Yeah.
Which I guess is something you can.
Well, did they not challenge it against, like when Lorentz got his call back earlier in the year against the Caps? That was a challenge, wasn't it? So I don't know.
Isn't there a certain point in the game where everything gets looked at and it's...
Anyways.
But it did get looked at, it sounded like, by the league.
The league.
And not stopped.
The league thought it was a good goal.
Yeah.
Did you?
I had to look at it 2 or 3 times. And then at the end, yes, it was a good goal. There was no kicking motion.
I know that Sam is going to bring up the Lorentz goal that got called off earlier in the season, right?
No, I'm going to say that is there a kicking motion involved with the goal?
No.
There was.
No, there was not.
It hits him, and then his leg comes
After
still.
contact.
After.
It was like a doctor's
Hey.
knee
But listen,
reflex test.
After.
I mean,
the puck was well
a millisecond
gone.
after?
No.
When you slow it down to the super duper slow mo, sure. But his leg literally kicks like he's Messi, comes right up.
Doesn't matter if he kicks it up 100 times. It had nothing to do with
So then
shooting the goal in the net.
It hit him in the knee and went in.
And went off
and
his
then he was
knee,
trying to kick it in.
And then he tried to
So can I
kick
ask?
it.
So I can ask
The
then,
puck
like,
was gone.
okay, I understand that, but then why, like, isn't the rule for no kicking to protect guys around the crease, lifting up skates, all this stuff? It's like, if that's not going to be where you elevate your skate 3 inches off the ice after you kick at a puck after it hits
you
off
want
your
to
leg.
get 2 minutes for attempted kicking?
No, doesn't count. And like, I've watched it 100 times. I've seen it 100 times. I understand what we're getting at here. But to me, with the puck going in off his leg combined with him trying to kick it, the puck went in with a kicking motion. There's a kicking motion to me. And the puck went in without touching the sticks. Anyways.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I would have challenged it.
It's not a tough one.
It is.
He's just wrong.
Yeah.
It's fine.
He's just
It's fine.
wrong. He's just
Fine.
wrong
Listen.
about any motion.
Kipper, there's a first time for everything, brother.
Anybody can have any motion after a puck's nowhere near them.
It bangs him in the knee and goes in the net. And regardless of what he's trying or thinking there, I think it's a goal.
I can baseball swing the air and shouldn't get a penalty.
Yeah, you're off scot-free.
I don't know. I just, I don't feel like arguing.
One of those
anymore,
one of those ones too, where it's like, if you're down to quibbling over one whistle you disagree with in the game, it's too close. You gotta be better than that. So
All right.
Was there or was there not a kicking motion?
after the puck hit,
Yeah.
separate from the event.
Was it a kick?
No.
No,
He didn't kick.
No.
He didn't kick his leg.
he did
He
after
did
the puck hit him.
after the puck bounced off of him.
Okay.
So you might as well hit him in the shoulder, gone in, then he kicked. It's
Yeah.
unrelated to the puck going into me.
Okay. The hit, Nick Cousins on young Jacob.
Talk about a guy who gets no benefit of the doubt from Cousins, in my opinion. How do you not kick him out of the game?
How do you? I love our Sportsnet family here, but did you really need to go to his mom right away? I was like, Jesus!
Oh, that was
like
tough.
I could.
It breaks into the league. Was it his first shift?
It was first or second. I had to
Nick
look at
Cousins
as
tried
soon
to
as they
end
went
his
to her.
career?
I honestly went.
Listen, that's
swung away from the TV.
That's signature hockey night in Canada.
was
They
really
nailed
good.
it. They nailed it.
Because all I can think
Really
of, you think of your
signature.
own mom walking in
Yes.
that moment,
Yeah.
just being like,
Yeah.
dreams finally come true and have him just like ripped away from you.
Now, I did catch Kevin Bieksa talk about it in the first intermission. We love Kevin.
We disagree.
Totally disagree with him.
Mm.
Totally. Because he brought in a couple of
We do not
comparables that I think don't match up.
Yeah.
Totally don't match up. And two were the blind hits on Booth and Savard.
Was it Mike Richards on Booth and Matt Cook on
Matt
Booth,
Cook.
on Savard?
Yeah. And those were like legitimate blind side hits
Mhm.
where you are a predator, you are hiding in the weeds, and then you're going to go out and hurt someone. And he also mentioned Saturday night, and again, we love Kevin Bieksa, but I thought he couldn't have been more wrong about he's just trying to make a hit. No, Nick Cousins is trying to take Jacob's head off with the most cleanest hit that he could come up with. Do I think he's going in there with the purpose of trying to hurt his knee?
No.
No. Do I think he wants to go and catch him cutting in the middle of the ice? Yes.
And when you mistime that hit, you're on the hook for the damages done.
And totally. Like, do you know how good you have to be to pull off one of those hits? Like the timing, the precision.
No, because
of
I've
an
never done it.
open hit like that.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
I've tried. It's very hard.
And Jacob too was not in the direction of Booth.
Right.
He was not in the direction of Savard where they're facing the net. He's coming in the middle of the ice, and he should see Cousins.
Yeah.
So now we're almost dealing with a north-south hit that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But that Cousins I wouldn't take my eye off of him with 1 second, because that guy is out there to hurt people.
Yeah. It's welcome to the NHL. Here's the league's most dangerous player.
Really?
You out there.
Like, what you say there makes sense, but he missed with the chicken wing, and then he sticks out the leg. Like, it was the double whammy.
Listen,
he knew he was missing, and he tried to
had
make
him in the
contact.
trolleys.
Minute,
I'm telling you,
get a piece.
he had him in the trolleys.
Yeah.
He did. He had him.
Puts
and
the
he,
elbow up.
Quillan cut back.
And he cut back at the last second, and then I thought Cousins bailed as well, and that is a classic knee on knee when you almost have two guys bailing at the last second. Cousins didn't have the. I don't think he had the confidence to stay in that lane and just take him head on.
And did Cousins stay in the game, or was
No,
he
he left.
he left and he was done?
left.
Yeah.
He left.
Yeah.
They didn't come back.
So
I mean,
I felt, initially felt like
we had the clip
there we
here.
go.
yeah,
he sticks the leg right out.
Yeah, initially I thought he was sympathy hunting, making sure didn't want to, can't get mad at me. I'm the hurt one. But
he's lucky the season isn't over.
Well, for sure. If I'm being 100% honest, one of my first thoughts was like he's going to be collecting an NHL paycheck for a long time, because that to me looked like he'd be on the IR, and
He came back out.
That's like, it was never really truly spoken, but like I would be in the minors and I'd hear guys having conversations. If I get up there, I'm taking
getting
a dive. I'm getting hurt.
yeah, I'm going to collect a month pay.
I'm collecting NHL money for as long as I can.
It definitely happens.
How do you not kick him out of the game? I mean, like, how do you not get a 5-minute?
He didn't get a minor, did
He didn't get anything.
I don't know.
That's a major minor, whatever you want to do. He goes unpunished for that is absurd.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's a flashpoint moment, the middle of the ice, the puck's right there. Anyways.
Before we, later in the show, we're going to have Craig Simpson on, which looking forward to that. And we do have other stuff to talk about. But I feel like during the Leafs hour, we should talk about Rantanen a little bit because of how it affects Marner, who.
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
How quick did those conversations come up?
Well,
like, people are sending me now, could the Toronto Maple Leafs trade Mitch Marner before the NHL trade deadline?
Yeah.
Well, no, because if he doesn't want to go, then he doesn't have to go.
Right.
It's a very big difference here.
And I actually don't have anything new to offer on it aside from, I think we kind of know what we've known about the Marner thing, right? It's going to come down to what he prioritizes. Is it money? Is it staying in Toronto?
No, I think it's safe to say the Leafs are trying to sign him right now.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so would that be related to Rantanen then, or?
Listen, if you look at these two guys, two of the best wingers now in the league.
Yep,
and
no doubt about it.
And they happen to be, as of now, available July 1st.
Yeah.
So the comparables are right there.
Yeah, I think it would be the right thing to do, and I'm glad to hear that. I think it's the right time. Everyone's talking about it. You'd like to not, leave it all the way to the end.
Okay. If you were Brad Treliving, and this is like you've had a couple Coors Lights at your local Boston Pizza, and it was me and him talking, and Mitch Marner didn't have, like, in the conversation where he didn't have the no move, and he had what did Rantanen have?
No trade.
Was it 19 teams that he couldn't be traded to? I forget what the number was, but he had a limited. Do you think that they would ever consider something like this, like mid-season? Because I cannot believe that Avs did it. I truly cannot believe they did it. Like, I'm stunned by it. There's
After reading my trade board, you were still stunned?
I mean,
listen,
literally our guy came out and told us what was happening.
Like what?
By the way, let's take a moment for all the people who are haters and doubters on some of these trade boards. No one had that but you first.
The haters and doubters are sick, I will say.
Yeah, where are they now? Number one on the trade board. Going, I had people say, that was out of left field, wasn't it? No. It wasn't.
Listen, I love you, bud. I didn't see it coming. I still was like, there's no way. But you've been hitting at this all year. But I just can't believe that people are like, these Leafs should do this with Mitch, whatever. It's like, the Avs shouldn't have done it with Rantanen.
That
Why did they do that?
You're 100% right. Like,
do you hear McKinnon on it? He was like, I don't care if he gets paid more than me.
It's like, yes.
Buddy, that's absolutely the right answer.
Do you think it's the right, true answer?
What's that?
Do you think it's true?
I do. I think he's smart enough to see that the cap situation has changed.
Let me tell you. Let me give you my definition of a true leader
How about a
in
winner?
an NHL dressing room. Okay, and that is the scenario I would picture if Nate McKinnon was a true leader in that room. Would go up to Mikko Rantanen and say, "Hey, buddy, listen. If these guys don't pay you what you're worth, then get out of here as fast as you can." Okay? It's not, I really need you and, try to stay and let's try to win more Stanley Cups, because that's nothing but a selfish guy looking at it through Nate McKinnon. It's what's good for Nate is if he sticks around. But we are all in this business because we love it. But
Sounds like we're in it for money.
the number one priority, I'm telling you, and it doesn't get often said, but in those dressing rooms is get your money. Get your money. And that's what Nate should be have told Rantanen.
Well,
You feel undervalued, you feel unappreciated, they're trying to jam it down your throats. Get out of here as fast as you can.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that, Kip. I don't feel that at all.
You may not feel it,
Yeah.
but that's what goes on in rooms.
I would say,
Because I've heard them. I've heard it countless times
Yeah.
in every NHL dressing room I've been in.
but you can't talk. You're talking about leadership and winning, and people have different priorities. And if someone's priorities are every nickel, that's fine. And that's fine. You can respect that, whatever. But it's not everyone's priorities. Some of them, like McKinnon said in a lot of these interviews, for him, it's winning. That's what his top priority is. Sidney Crosby, obviously the most recent example of a massive pay cut.
But you can't hang it on somebody else.
No, you can't.
Right?
No, you can't. Absolutely. And so it depends. And so that's the same with Marner. If Marner's priority is getting every bit of what his value is, then yeah, maybe it's not going to be here and he can go get that value somewhere else. If he prioritizes the city or he thinks he has a better chance to win somewhere else, it comes down to a choice of what is your priority. And I think people's priorities differ.
Yeah. In terms of Colorado, they showed Rantanen zero respect. Zero.
How so?
They just refused to pay him anything that remotely looked like a fair deal.
Mm-hmm. What do you think their top offer to him would have been? Like, would they got up to McKinnon's 12.5 or whatever? No. That's
They didn't have to.
preposterous.
They didn't have to.
What do you mean they didn't have to?
They didn't have to.
Why?
Because Rantanen told them, I don't have to make as much as
So
McKinnon.
that's what Rantanen said. I want more than that, and they said we're not going to do that. And that's the end of it.
No. This whole I need $14 million like Leon Draisaitl was all BS.
Mm-hmm.
Never happened. Never was discussed. Just they thought that there should have been at least something past Pasternak's contract of 2 years ago.
Is that right?
Right?
Yeah.
And they said no.
And that's
Really?
dumb. That's so dumb. Like you look into if you're with the Rantanen camp, you go, the salary cap situation has changed significantly from that.
Don't care.
Well, it doesn't matter. They get to say they don't care, but that's what's dumb. That's
Thank you.
super triple dumb.
Thank you.
There's like 12 good players in the league.
Yeah.
You have two of them. Don't
You have
let
three of
one
them.
go. And I realize
You have three.
Yeah, you have three. That's right. That comes back to the Marner thing, where it's like, I've said a lot of things about Marner and have my opinions and playoffs and yada yada. I have also said, I think it's best if you just sign him. It's just there's not that many of these guys. I don't see how you're better without them, and I feel that way about Colorado.
And as much as we can sit there and say, hey, they got some value back, and Martin Necas got a few points the other night.
And they'll probably turn the picks they got into a player, I would imagine. At the
but that
deadline here.
Rantanen, if you look at his playoff history,
He's got unbelievable
Beast.
playoff numbers.
beast, irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I
Right?
think Mikko Rantanen, I was looking at his hockey DB over the weekend. In 81 playoff games, he has 101 points.
Yeah, and he's fourth in total points going back the past 5 years or something. Like
And
And he's 28.
Martin
And he's
Necas in 59 playoffs games has 30 points, 11 goals. He's kind of had a history of going the other way in the playoffs. So,
Tough,
anyways.
But here's what if I'm McFarland, they must have had some inkling he didn't want to re-sign there. Or they're just, we're going to be too far apart. Because I do feel like, let's say we're sitting here to start the show. It's October 5th next year. And the Leafs are holding nothing in the bag because Marner just left. And meanwhile, Colorado's got Necas, Drury, and whatever player they get for their picks. Yeah. It's going, well, who did better there?
Yeah.
I guess it's different depending on who, if you win a cup.
It was the opposite. He really wanted to stay.
Boy, that doesn't look good on McFarland then. There's the complete pick.
Really, he loved it there. He's been 10 years there.
Well, and him and McKinnon were boys.
Sure.
They were boys. Like, they weren't just like line mates.
Yeah.
Like, they hung out socially outside. Ugh.
But to your point, and just to bring it back into our Leaf hour, how are you going to replace Marner?
Yeah, I don't
if you're
think
the Leafs.
Yeah, I don't think you're better. There's no chance.
If he walked out the door.
And I don't know how many times I need to say it, but I do think there's going to be a playoff run. Like, I think he's too good a player for it to, he's just going to never be good in playoffs. He's too good. So,
well, you can still have a great first round and they could lose.
Very possible. Very possible. But I do think that would change the calculus on re-signing him or not. Like, if he at least held up his end of the bargain, you'd go, okay, well, that's for him.
We need another hour to have that conversation.
Well, listen, if we piece together all our Marner conversations going back to October, we'd have many, many hours.
Let's go to break.
Okay. Still plenty to get into, including Stanley Cup champion twice, Craig Simpson. Does a terrific job on Hockey Night in Canada. We'll get his thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs and maybe his thoughts on the big trade as well. Plenty more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Now, Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee just caught a glimpse of a picture of the current Toronto Maple Leafs outside. They're doing the outdoor game we did yesterday, or outdoor practice at the Prince of Wales rink in Etobicoke, and it's like nothing but the skyline.
Very cool.
And the CN Tower in the background. Yeah, if anybody gets a chance, go find it. It is one. And the sun's out, too. Nothing
cool that
better
they do
than,
that. I love that. Yeah.
Just rubbing it in our faces.
That we're in here.
But we had a great day yesterday as well.
Oh, is it cool? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, good weather for it.
All right. A guy that knows a few outdoor games over his career as well. The one that started it all was the Heritage Classic in Edmonton. Let's welcome in Craig Simpson, former NHLer, Edmonton Oiler, Hockey Night in Canada. How are you, Simmer?
Hey, boys, I'm doing great. Not near a TV, so I can't see Sammy, but I'm hoping he's still okay listening to you there before. Sammy probably had to go for a little walk and cool himself down. And Sammy, you know what? It's not a coach's challenge play, so Craig Berube is right. He couldn't do anything about it. The Situation Room did look at the leg movement, and I agree with Kyper and Borney that – it is a good goal, but he could do a cartwheel after it hit him, and it doesn't matter. Like, I know your kicking motion is driving you nuts, but it had nothing to do with the play. So, and the Lawrence one in Washington was also that. It wasn't a coach's challenge. It was the Situation Room looking at it and going for it. So, sorry, man, but it happens that way.
This is why you're one of the top analysts in the game right now, because you can tell Sammy that in about 15 seconds. And we took about 25 minutes.
Simmer, I was wrong. There's a first time for everything, buddy.
All right. That sounds good. And he wants to direct the next Saturday night, too. When that hit came for Quillan, my first thought was mom and dad, too.
Yeah.
You're a parent there. It's the most exciting day for your kid, and you're just thrilled, and the second time on the ice that happens. I was so happy to see him hang in there, and I know he didn't play a whole lot after, but man, that could have been so bad.
So Saturday night, I think Leaf fans would have enjoyed maybe a cartwheel or two if it meant scoring some goals in the other end. What is it with this hockey club? Either they go big or they go home with the struggles.
Yeah, I listened to you guys again, and you're saying – you're right. If the number on the back isn't 88 or 34 or 16, it doesn't look like you have a whole lot of chance to win games right now. And, you have to find a way to get some production out of somebody else. It's just, that's not a recipe. Those are the guys that have to be the best every night. You're expecting them to be able to chip in. but it is that stretch. And, I think even both coaches were talking about it Saturday that this is the dog days of the season. There's been a lot of hockey. You're into that 50-game mark. January kind of has the blues after having an exciting time with your families around Christmas and New Year's. And it always, for me anyways, was one that this is a tough time where it's harder to get that energy up to be great each and every night. And, this is that time where you look around and good teams find a way to win some of those games with a third line or a fourth line that can chip in. How about a defenseman that can chip in? That's another factor. So many of the last couple of games that have been tight games going into the third period where they've either been down by one or tied at a critical time. And I just can't help but think what it does to a bench when a D-man jumps up and gets involved and scores. There's goals that obviously every goal is important, but there's goals that matter more. And in these types of games where the offense isn't coming and it's a tight checking and you're getting a matchup against the Matthews line or, Nylander hasn't had 5 breakaways in the game, the impact it has on your bench when a fourth liner, like if Lorentz goes out and gets a goal or heavens forbid if Reeves happens to get one, or if Domi puts one in the back of the net. But when a D-man can make a play and jump in and get a big goal, I think back to when the streak was finally broken where they hadn't had a goal in, December, and McKay jumped up and made a great play and made an unreal shot. And I know what that does to the bench. You know what it's like, guys. It lifts everybody up. That's been missing, and that is an element of the game that really does make a difference and can change some of those games that you're having trouble scoring goals in and allow you to find a way to win some of them.
I just want to follow up on that a little bit, Simmer, and you're totally right. But now I'm starting to watch other lineups, and some teams just have real natural guys. And the one thing, again, that stood out to me, and I'd love your thoughts on, is that when I'm watching Saturday night, it may appear to be a close score, but I'm watching Sanderson and Shabbat continuously be that guy for Ottawa, like constantly. It's not like once in a blue moon you see McCabe jump up or once in a blue moon you see Tanev jump up. It's just in their DNA. And the one guy that the Leafs thought that they had this season was Morgan Rielly to do that, but we know he's struggling. Outside of that, they really don't have that guy.
No, they don't, and you're right of what it does to the game. It can be the easy breakout under pressure. Sanderson a couple of times, just wheeled with the puck, used the net as good defensemen do to stop the pressure he had from behind him. But you also know, Nick, you get a matchup where you got a guy like that with speed that jumps up. As a winger, it's like, do I go with him or do I stay back? It's who's my coverage in the zone. It just causes so much chaos, and it has been lacking greatly. I think Ekman Larsson, he's on a 4-game streak, so there's a little bit of offense from your back end. He's been trying to do it a little bit, but it hasn't been something that's just natural and a part of every game. And Morgan, quite frankly, all year, he hasn't had that confidence and hasn't had that look that has the ability to grab the puck behind his own net and just make something happen. And it doesn't always have to be a goal, but man, when you're playing in the other end, it's a heck of a lot more fun than when you're trapped in yours. And so many, like you said, Shabbat and Sanderson, they did it numerous times, and they're a threat. You get that defenseman going all the way down to the offensive zone and swinging behind the net, and a lot of crisscrosses. That's where the coverage can get mixed up, and that's really been missing in the back end for the Leafs all season long.
Simmer, as much as we can talk kind of around the edges about what the Leafs will need to have postseason success, I think we all agree it has to come from their most important players. What are your thoughts on Matthews? Not the whole season so much as where he's at now. Do you think he's back in a place where we can fairly judge his performance separate from the injury?
I agree with you earlier on where I thought that was the most invisible he's been since he's been back.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. Chris and I, after the game, were talking, and I looked at each other and said, I don't think I said Matthews' name more than twice during the game. And it was one that he wasn't, as you've said, attacking and stripping guys a puck and jumping on the loose puck and getting there first and winning the battle. I thought he has looked a lot more like himself during this, 10, 11 games back now. So to me, maybe it's just a one-off, and you certainly hope so. But early on, there's no question that, shots that you sort of raise your eyebrow and go, oh, man, what a shot that was, weren't happening early on. He's sitting now, I know he hasn't played all 50, but he's 34, 35 games in, and he's got 2 multi-goal games. I mean, last year was a special year, but he had 18. And so that's not by coincidence. Teams are going to pay more attention to him, but they've been doing that for 9 years. So that's not anything new and anything that he hasn't been able to overcome. I would hope that Saturday was maybe just a one-off, and I guess we'll find out on Wednesday if he looks back more like himself. But I was starting to feel that, Justin, that he looked like the player that you're accustomed to watch, and maybe Saturday's just, one of those nights that it didn't happen.
Simmer, if we look at where we are in the standings, and you're going to blink, and
it's over,
and it's over, and I could easily ask you, what can you do differently on the power play? But aren't we really beyond that for the Toronto Maple Leafs? And now are we now in the window of almost Brad Treliving doing something, adding somebody, anything that can maybe shake it up, or is the answer still within? Because we saw a huge trade, and I'm not suggesting there's a huge trade out there for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but you've been a part of a team when maybe subtle things have been enough sometimes to kind of turn things around.
Yeah, I think, interestingly enough, I'm not I always say stats are for losers. That's what Glenn Sather always said, because you can turn them into whatever you want. So you can take either side to make it look good or make it not look as bad. January in 12 games hasn't been terrible. They've been 26.5% in the month of January. But I would say, and I think Craig has said it in some post-game remarks, it's the big time in the big game when it's on the line and you get a power play or 2 in a row and nothing happens. It's more about situational. They have not been able to say in a key game or a key moment in a game where you go, we get a power play, it's in the back of the net. Not to look at other teams, but quite frankly, that's the Edmonton Oilers. That's McDavid and Draisaitl when you're down by 2 and you get back-to-back power plays and you score on both of them and you're back in a hockey game. That, to me, has really been missing in their special teams is the timely ones. Forget about what the overall percentage of your power play is. And, you want it to be in that 25% would be unreal range. But it's more, does it win you games? And can you get the power play when you need it? Do you have that kind of intensity that, you've got the chance to win the game, let's go win it? And I think there's still too much passing on the outside. Teams are not being nearly as aggressive at times. They're aggressive on the entries, and that has caused some problems as well. But good penalty killing teams always are. They stand up at the line. They attack you when you just get over. They pin you on the boards there and usually go with 2 and sometimes 3 guys, and that makes it difficult to get the setup. But when they've had the setup, teams have tried to collapse to the middle. They're not allowing a pass from the left side over to Matthews when he's on the right. They're not allowing anything through from Marner, into Nylander on a similar type play. So to me, you've got to have a shot somewhere. And the one thing I would say this power play does is as good as a shot Matthews has, there is nobody at the top who's going to, like in our time in Edmonton, Chris Pronger, you're not getting a bomb there that just changes something. I always said, too, if you're not getting shots through, break someone's ankle first. Like, get in and force a guy to make a hard block. Now he's going to be a little bit more cautious. Now you've got a chance to fake a shot and open up a passing lane. But tell me the last time you've seen a big bomb anywhere on that power play. And that is something that, not every team has, but that's something to me that's really been missing is that shot mentality from the top that opens up the lanes when you now attack later because you've got that threat there.
Yeah, it's I remember hearing about Dennis Potvin on my dad's teams. They're saying if a guy would drop and block a shot, he'd happily shoot it at their face the first time, so it doesn't happen
exactly.
again. And you've seen Ovi do that too, where he just pounds it into a D 3 times till the guy's not there for the fourth one. So I don't think that's coming anytime soon. Quick one for you here, Craig, before we let you go. Just the Leafs are statistically on point to be the same team they've been the past 7 years in terms of the standings. Do you see anything about their style this year? Do you feel differently about the Leafs because of Craig Berube or in any way they're constructed? Or do you feel it's a pretty similar team headed to a similar, I don't want to say fate, but time of year?
Right. It is a similar team. I think, there are some indications that they are a better defending team. Mm-hmm. But you guys look at the losses. They've been heartbreaking in the playoffs. How many times do you have to go to 7 games and lose? But in those 7th game losses, it hasn't been their defense that's abandoned them. They can't score. They can't score in those big moments. And I think the stat in the 6th game, they've scored 8 goals, right, when it matters. And so you're 1 a game. And when you need the big performance, it hasn't been their defense that has really abandoned them. It's been their offense. And look at what we've just been talking here in those key moments in the games that are tight games, Saturday being a great example. That game Saturday was, you could go back to Boston in a game 7, to Montreal in a game 7, to the other Boston in a game 7, to Tampa in a game 7. They haven't been able to score at the key time. And if you only are relying on 3 guys to put the puck in the net, or if Tavares is back in 4, that's, you don't get a Nick Paul scoring 2 goals in a game 7. Like, who's that guy right now? And that would be my concern is, are you the same team in that way? Maybe this is the year that all 4 of the top guys break out and all have great playoffs for 20 games.
And Bobby McMann steps up, right?
And Nye scores.
Right? Exactly. Hey, Simmer, always great stuff when you're on our show. So appreciate it, man.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Simmer. Appreciate that.
Craig Simpson, Hockey Night in Canada.
God, he's good.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. 447. Can you, Derek, get the clip where he says stats are for losers? We're going to need that.
You're right. No, and Simmer, nobody to break any ankles back there shooting the puck.
No. Well,
and I'm watching Sanderson control. Like,
I'm surprised you to say that. You want a guy that's up for the Leafs? I feel like you don't like that.
It would change everything.
Klingberg got away.
It would change. It would change the dynamics of and the pressure, I think, of 3 guys up front having to do it themselves.
Yeah.
That's all.
So one thing that has been different, Morgan's played with Jake McCabe for 3 games now. I've liked him more. He's looked better. He's had 11 shot attempts, I feel like, over those 3 games.
The one thing a little concerning, too, again, to play Craig Berube's style, you got to be on it. You cannot hesitate. Like, the one thing that I watched, and I'll include Matthews because I thought he was the worst at it, is like, they're not getting in on the forecheck. And if you're gonna go up against the Sandersons of the world or the Quinn Hughes, Shabbat last Saturday or Saturday night, and you're not on top of them, all 3 strides and they're out of the zone.
Yeah,
there's no forecheck. There's nothing.
They're pretty good against Quinn Hughes that one game, but last night not getting in after.
It's
so important to just stop the breakout.
It's just like it's 1 in, 1 out. That's it. Okay, our thanks to Craig Simpson moments ago for joining us on Hockey Night, or from Hockey Night in Canada, and we continue International Hour. We'll go to Elliotte Friedman. We'll get a lot more dirt on the big trade, the Blockbuster Friday night between Colorado and Carolina. That when we return, our National Hour. Don't go away. Come on in. Welcome aboard. The National Hour of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in our very own Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada. 32 thoughts. We'll get the latest on the big trade Friday night. The one that surprise Sammy because he didn't read my Sportsnet.ca trade board.
You literally told so many people didn't see it coming. It's like, oh, was it written on Sportsnet in bold writing?
And then
I just didn't think they actually would. I understand that there's an idea of it, but actually pulling the trigger on trading him is insane.
And then I had the guys, they did a picture of all the trade faces, and I said, put Rantanen in the middle.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
And then people on social media said, like, all Sammy's buddies, like,
Sammy's
what's Kyper on?
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
He's on information, high on the fumes of information.
I will.
A lucky guess.
I do.
I heard some things.
I will notice that you didn't bring up the Buffalo Bills and the Leafs. Were you hoping to do that for a more national audience? Is that what you were hoping for?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. You want to just get a quick thought on before we go to Elliotte on what you saw Saturday night or Sunday night?
It's just sickening. It's sickening. The Chiefs are just so good. And it just, could they get a call? They take advantage of it.
Is it just two guys? Is it the quarterback and the coach?
It's the
Andy,
yeah.
Reid?
And
calling the right plays at the right time, like constantly.
They have a fantastic defense, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, Steve Spagnuolo. It's just, they're really, really good. And everyone can whine about the call as much as you want. It was probably a first down. But the reason people are so upset about all the calls they get is because the Chiefs immediately turn around and rip your heart out the second that you give them an inch.
They cash in on the
every mistake you make, every good call they get, they immediately cash in. And I don't know where you go as a Bills fan, because you've gotten to this mountaintop, you've gotten to play these guys, and you just cannot beat them. And what would give you any hope that you're ever going to?
A lot of Bills fans are Leafs fans. This is
Leafs
years
Bruins
to go.
This is Leafs Bruins. It's Leafs Bruins.
They'll be back, I can tell you.
And what would ever give you any hope that it's ever going to be different?
You don't have to have any.
I just
keep showing up.
Sick.
Would you feel better when Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl?
But now that the Chiefs are there, you kind of want to see them win because you want to see that you're alive for something that's happened never before. There's never been a three-peat in the Super Bowl. So now that they're there, you got to be like, oh, I guess I kind of want to see some greatness. But at the same time, it's like I got to witness Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
I just can't stand anyone who thinks that like the league has like talked to the officials and was like, rig it. That's not.
I'll have the conversation. I will. They would love to have Taylor Swift there every time.
And I think all the officials are aware of that. The league would like that. And so maybe there's some inherent bias there because of that. But no one's directly communicating.
And yet another exact Leafs parallel where all the fans are like, it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Anyways, it sucks. I'm sorry for Bills fans. It's just brutal.
We did touch a little bit in our Leaf Hour edition of our show on Rantanen, but it is worth a revisit, and we'll soon have Elliotte Friedman to follow up on some details of what went on Friday night. But let's start with you, JB, just in terms of maybe swinging this a little bit towards Carolina, and is it a good fit? Did they go out and get the best guy available? And is this going to be the difference between Carolina finding a way to get perhaps into a Stanley Cup final?
Well, I've made the clumsy comparison to Kawhi before for the Raptors, and I know it's not exactly on point, but here's what's similar about it. You had a very good team that was continuously getting frustrated in the postseason and coming close. And the problem was you didn't have the elite talent of the teams who kept winning. So you do something desperate when a great player comes available to get the elite talent. Now, we have seen teams in the NHL come to that realization before. You need that being Vegas. Vegas got everyone's 8th best player, and they recognized they needed elite guys. They went out and they got elite guys. They won their cup. If you're Carolina, it's like, okay, we were good. We need to be great. We have an opportunity. I love it for the Hurricane.
I still stay in disbelief that the Colorado Avalanche actually traded.
Dumb.
You just, like you said about their being stars in the league and trying to find stars in the league, you have 3 of the very best hockey players in the league. And it's not like McCarr and McKinnon are over the hill. Like, it's like they're in the prime of their career.
The 3 of us could be on their team and they'd have a chance to win the cup.
They're in the prime of their career. And you trade away, like, even if he's gonna walk, I don't know. I'm really struggling with the fact that they actually did it. I can't believe they actually did it.
Kip, tell us why they did it.
Yeah, they just stopped liking him, I guess.
That don't make no sense.
Except you mean that.
I do mean that. Yeah, I do. I think he made it abundantly clear that he wanted to stay and try to still win championships, and they said, no, your time's up. Out
Is
the door.
there... So this isn't Rantanen saying, I want every nickel.
No.
I want someone who's going to pay me the most.
No, and I think he spoke today, if I'm not mistaken. I think he spoke today after Kane's practice.
Did he speak today?
Rantanen.
Well, I grabbed a clip from him after the game yesterday.
And not to, completely quote him here, but it was like, I offered them a significant discount.
Wow. Yeah.
And like, not discount, significant discount.
Absolutely insane. No,
To
we need answers.
To speak more of that, let's welcome in our very own Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts, and still not an owner of a brush.
Looking good, though.
This is not bad.
Not bad.
This is pretty good.
Not bad. It's fine.
It's got volume.
It's fine. Okay, Elliotte, where do we start here just in terms of how this escalated to a trade that should have been around the trade deadline, no?
Well, the timing shocked me, Nick, 100%. I think we talked about this after one of the regionals we did, and we were thinking, we were talking about what we thought could happen. And at the time, I think I said trade, but I didn't think it was going to be now if he wasn't signed. It was earlier than I thought. I was listening to you guys talk, and as always, it's a great conversation. And I read Rantanen's quotes today too, and also he spoke to a Finnish newspaper, I believe, on the weekend and said something similar. The one thing I don't have a great grasp of yet, guys, is what significant discount meant. I'd like to know the number because they've got McKinnon at 12.6, and what's McCarr's number going to be? Like, I think that's the other part of this equation. What's McCarr's number going to be? Because McCarr's going to be eligible for an extension after next season, summer of 2026, and by then the cap is going to be in the hundreds somewhere. So what's his number going to be? I think that's what happened here. I think the Avalanche number, I said it on the weekend, I said it today, no one's disputed it. I think their max number was around 11.75, which would have made Rantanen the highest paid winger in the league. And they were under the impression that would not do it. So, and again, I have no problem with anybody negotiating their best deal. I would I always try and negotiate the best deal. That's totally fine with me. But I'm under the impression the Avalanche will only go to 11.75, and it wasn't going to get it done. And they made the decision that they were going to move on. Now, I think the thing here is looking at the shock on everyone's face. If you go back to Landeskog's negotiation, that one went right down to July 1st, and it got done. And all the Avalanche players, I remember McKinnon coming next year to the media tour and saying, I knew it was going to happen. There was no way he was leaving. I think every player in that room thought the exact same thing was going to happen. It was going to come right down to July 1st, and it was going to get done. But the Avalanche, they thought they were going to lose leverage, and they just said, you know what? If it's not 11.75, we're going to move on. Absolute shocker. Absolute shocker.
Okay, we're for a second not going to care what he meant as significant discount. We're going to care what we think is a significant discount. Mm-hmm. So you tell me that let's do the hypothetical and say that 11.75 was the number, okay? Mm-hmm. You're telling me now, Elliotte, that they go, if you want 12, you're going to lose the deal. Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland were willing to lose the deal on one of the best wingers in the game today, over $250,000 a year.
Yeah, but Nick, that's a hypothetical I can't answer. Like, you might be right, but I don't know. I don't know.
No, but what do you think, 12. Elliotte? What do you think?
What do I think?
I'm not losing that
You know,
deal over $250,000 a year.
But I don't think it's. But Nick, here's the thing. Like, this is where I always get nervous because if I come on and I say the number's 12 and they lost the deal over 250,
No, we're not.
it's
We're
everywhere.
not saying
I
it.
think
We're
but,
just.
but no, you're not saying it. But I know the way the internet works, right? Like that's the kind of thing that I'm worried about. I'm just saying that I like Draisaitl just signed for 14.
Yeah.
Same agency. Nick, there's a whole bunch of players. Like, what do you think Kaprizov's about to sign for?
But that's a different beast because
No, but
Minnesota already said that.
I think we're going there. But I think we're going there.
But Minnie said we'll do whatever we can to sign him.
Right.
And clearly Colorado did not with Rantanen. Let me ask you, JB. Hold on for a second, Elliotte.
Yeah.
Would 12 a year times 8 have been a significant discount for you?
It's a discount, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but we don't know if that's the number. Like,
Right.
I'd rather have more certainty on what, like, because I think Rantanen could make a real argument for 14. Like, I look at that and I say, hey, that guy, if you're going to tell me someone's going to pay him $14 million a year, I'm like, hey, man, he deserves it. So what's a significant discount from that? I don't. Like, the answer is I don't know.
Nate McKinnon's at 12.6. Okay.
Yeah.
Significant isn't 12.4. It's not 12.2. Significant is 12 or under 12.
I don't know if I agree with. I just don't know. Like Nick, like we're guessing. We don't.
We're
we don't
educating.
Guessing.
Guessing.
So are you telling me you think the number was 12?
I think they could have got it done at 12. I think he would have taken 12.
Well, then,
If so, that's
then
wild.
if that's the case that this blew up over 250, then it's a mistake for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
No one's right if it blows up over 250.
That to me is significant.
But okay, so dollars and cents.
Yeah,
aside,
it's significant from 14, but it's not significant from 11.75 to 12.
Yeah. So here's my question then: the fact that they're
do you think? Hold on, sorry.
Yeah,
Justin,
no,
I hate
go,
to
go,
interrupt.
go.
Like Nick,
Yeah.
you're like you've been in this position before.
Yeah.
If the number is 11.75 or 12, if that's the case, like, don't you think that that's insane that both sides?
Buddy,
couldn't
I
get
think
this
the whole
done?
thing's insane. And
Yeah,
the information that I've gotten, Elliotte, he was prepared to be paid under McKinnon. He didn't need 14. He didn't need Draisaitl. He didn't need to be higher than McKinnon. He was willing to be under McKinnon.
Okay. I mean, I would be curious to know exactly what that number is.
So, Elliotte, have you ever heard anything then about Rantanen and Colorado, like them not getting along or anything? Like,
Yes.
you have?
Not getting along, but I heard the negotiations. Like, I've heard negotiations at the time were really tough.
Okay.
Like, it was
Because that would start to make some sense of
business.
this, right? If they're like, all right,
Yeah.
well,
Like, I think the player in the organization, I have no reason to believe that they didn't get along. He loved them and they loved him. But, when the last time that he was up was at the same time Marner. And, a couple of people said to me, you guys are in the center of the universe up there, and Marner's situation was in the front lines every day. And because it's Rantanen and it's Colorado, it wasn't as out there, but it was an equally hard negotiation, really hard negotiation. And I do think that there were some, I don't know if hard feelings is the right word, but I do think that bled into this, Justin. Yes, I do.
You're watching and listening to Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts. So, Elliotte, this is now Tom Dundon and the Carolina Hurricanes taking a big swing twice in 2 years. They did the same thing for Gensel, didn't get him. What are the odds this time around Tom Dundon gets Rantanen to stay on a long-term deal?
Did you see Empire Strikes Back, Nick, in the theaters when you were younger?
But I think we went together.
Han Solo, never tell me the odds. Like, that's Tom Dundon, right? Yeah. He's so. Look, I think they learned a lot from the Gensel thing last year. Number one, as Tulsky has pointed out, they didn't have the cap room they do now. They have a ton of cap room. Number two is that last time with Gensel gave them a number, and I don't think they gave it to him until like 2 days before free agency. And by that time, Gensel was like, no, it's too late. So I think, like everybody, you learn your lessons. The one thing I do believe is this: they will go where they have never gone before, and they will make a big pitch at him. Is it enough? We'll see. I think the Hurricanes like to do deferred money. They did it with Slavin. They did it with Jarvis. I'm not sure that's going to work here. The Oilers proposed it to Draisaitl, who's represented by Andy Scott, same agent as Rantanen, and they weren't crazy about that. So we'll see if there's any reason to feel any different this time. One of the things the Hurricanes have talked about is they've never had one of the league's best players there, especially not since Dundon's been the owner. Like, they've had good players, like Aho's a hell of a player. Slavin's a really good player, but they've never had anybody at Rantanen's level. And they've talked about how much they would love to get their hands on this player. They go into it wide open. I think they'll be better prepared for it than Gensel they were for Gensel. And I think that, we'll see. I mean, they're going to have to offer him a massive number, because I got to think there's teams out there, Nick and Justin, and they're looking at this like, okay, if he's going to hit the market, we're going to throw the number at him he wants. So unless they can convince him to take any kind of similar discount for Carolina, there's going to be whispering sweet nothing that he's going to get it outside. I do think Carolina wants to take a big time shot at this. I think they're prepared to take a big time shot at this, and I think they will learn about their situation's different than last year. They'll learn what they did right and wrong last year, and honestly, Nick and Justin, I think they take a big run at it. I really do.
This is, people don't know, but that's Chicago took a boot to the face for their part in this trade in an agreement that Carolina wouldn't sign him so they could pick him up in the free agent market. I mean, it just feels like what a bizarre role they played in this. Taylor Hall felt like he was worth a third on his own. They retained some money.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think they were getting that high a pick for Hall,
okay.
Especially, like Chicago said. And Davidson said this morning they only had 2 retention spots left, and they weren't doing it for both players.
Right.
So they weren't tying them. I just don't think I don't want to insult Taylor Hall, but I just don't think the market for him was that strong. And I think the other thing too is that with this move, Chicago saves some cash in a year where they're not making the playoffs. Right. I don't think that's an insignificant thing to say to your financial people.
You save $1.5 million and
$1,000.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's about $500,000 they save.
Yeah. So in the end, then, this deal takes an option for Vancouver off the trade table. Are you good to turn the page?
No. Well, I want to lead into that for sure. So do you want to, just in terms of Elliotte, for our 650 listeners out there, how close was a Nakash or a Rantanen ending up in Vancouver?
I think that on that day, the Hurricanes had to make a choice. Like, which deal were they taking? Were they taking the deal for Vancouver with Pettersson, or were they taking the deal with Colorado for Rantanen? And they chose the Rantanen deal. I think that's basically, Nick and Justin, what it came down to. Some people wanted Carolina to make a decision. I think Vancouver wanted to know, and I think Colorado made it. Like, if Colorado traded Rantanen right now, I don't think they were getting a better player than Natchez. So I think they had to know that player was still on the table. So I think Carolina had to make that call.
And so what Vancouver's kind of left holding the bag a little bit here, that takes away one of their trading partners. I know we had talked about Miller and Pettersson. Kind of feels like they're stuck here. Is there going to be progress in Vancouver on moving one of those 2 stars?
I think they're going to keep looking at it. The Ranger thing, I don't know where that stands right now. I've had some people say to me that one was a bit more complicated than has been even reported publicly, even by myself, on why that one got turned down. So I'm still trying to get to the bottom of that one. I still think there are teams that are interested in Miller. I still think there are teams that are interested in Pettersson. I still think the Canucks are investigating all of this, but I do think their best trade probably for Pettersson was with Carolina, at least what Carolina had on the table. But I still do think that teams continue to talk to them, and Vancouver continues to talk. So I kind of got to figure out where we are right now here.
Elliotte, I don't know if you listen on Fridays, but sometimes we get this grumpy old guy on our show.
I do.
You're on every day.
Doug McLean.
Oh.
Easy. And, you know, he never tells us what's the truth, but he does tell us what sometimes he hears.
I miss hearing that line around the office.
It's a very good line.
He did mention that perhaps Rick Tocchet may be growing tired of all of this. And the feeling is that he is in his last year of his deal. And the thought of maybe, you know, Rick maybe moving on. And Doug dropped Philadelphia as an option to go back home, you know, to an organization he's very familiar with breaking into the league. What are you hearing on that front in terms of, you know, outside of who they're going to trade and what happens to Rick Tocchet, who is in the last year of his deal, correct?
Yeah, well, he's in the last year, but there's a team option for him on him next year, Nick. But I would really think if that he didn't want to coach, the Canucks would probably say, okay. I mean, you're not going to force someone to coach on a team option if they don't want to be there. But you know, ultimately, the Canucks would decide what that could mean for Tocchet anywhere else if we get to there. You know, I have kind of looked into that a little bit, and the word I get is too soon to talk about. But I do think that I do think that the way the roster gets potentially reshaped here could have something to do with all this. Like the one thing I do believe, Nick, and you know, I know like I've got some friends who are big Canucks fans, and they're like, enough of this already. And I understand it; it's been a lot, and I don't always like talking about it too much myself. But the fact is, it's there, and you know, the kinds of things that they've dealt with, it's added a lot of stress to the organization this year. And I think it's been hard. I think people are kind of like, we've been dealing with this for years and we don't want to deal with it anymore. And with all the other things you have to deal with in a high pressure market like Vancouver, it just adds stress that nobody wants. And, you know, the one thing is, if, you know, depending on what the Canucks decide to do and what moves they make, it might make everybody feel better. It might be that simple. And then you start to win games and everything goes away. But the one thing, Nick, I do believe is if it's the status quo and nothing changes, then I do think that, you know, everybody's going to sit there and say, you know, are we going in the right direction? And do we want to be a part of this anymore? So I think that the answer to that question about Tocchet and others will come to see everybody feels in 2 to 3 months.
Good on that.
Yep.
Friedge, there's a story in the news today just about the Ottawa Senators are going to play some exhibition games in Quebec City next year. You know, panic people take that as, oh no, it's a threat. They're going to move Ottawa to Quebec City. They're not doing that. But is there the potential they start playing a few games there? What's the Quebec City Ottawa tie?
Well, first of all, I heard some people were mad today because the Ottawa mascot, Spartacat, or whatever the name is, I'm not really good with mascot names, was wearing like a half Senator jersey and a half Quebec City jersey.
Oh, no. Tampa Bay, Montreal.
It's like, you can't, like, I don't understand how people can be upset about that. Like, come on, like, they're doing a press conference in Quebec City to talk about playing exhibition games there. I mean, you can't be upset about that stuff. I think people need to relax.
Yeah,
I think you do. This is such an overblown story. You know, Ottawa's going into Quebec City. They're going to play some exhibition games. They have to show some enthusiasm for the market, right? Yes, we're happy to be here in Quebec City. And I think people should realize by now, like, Nick, you've been covering the business side of the Ottawa Senators for, you know, 25 years. If the league wanted the Ottawa Senators to move, they would have left a long time ago. Like, I don't think on Gary Bettman's watch, Canada's nation's capital is losing its hockey team. Does he wish the building situation was better? Yeah, so do the Senators and their fans. You know, does everybody wish there was more clarity there? 1,000%. But that team is not going anywhere. And this whole story today, like, I was reading some of the quotes and seeing people mad at the mascot. And I was like, like something else. We thank God we got a Logan Thompson contract extension, so I didn't have to think about this for any more minutes.
But this all has to. We're going to let you go soon, but this all has
No
to.
worries, bud.
This all has to ties into the fact that they've had this new owner in Michael Andlauer for a little while now, and they are no closer to a shovel in the ground for a new arena. This has to all be part of the frustration.
Yes. You know what, Nick, I completely understand. Like I've said this before, my dad was a builder for a long time, and I have some understanding about the way all of this works. And, my dad's a pretty mild-mannered guy. Aside from the stupid stuff I did as a teenager, he didn't get very angry too often, but nothing would make him angrier than dealing with governments when it came to building things. And that's anybody who's in the development business will tell you, it's not ever your schedule. It's always the government schedule, and it's a frustrating, infuriating thing. And I'm not surprised that this is where we are at all.
All right, buddy. We really appreciate you popping in. Thanks for all your stuff, your feedback constantly. You do a terrific job. We're lucky to have you on the show. Blah, 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 blah.
The feeling is mutual, guys, and I do love, I love the debate. I love the debate. I really do.
Thanks, Reed.
Right.
We appreciate your time, man.
All right,
Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts. Listen, he needs a new rink. Michael Andlauer needs a new arena. And if it's not going well, then you create a distraction.
Do you think this is flirting with another girl to make that girl
Jealous? We've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Do you think that it would be 80% Leaf fans in Quebec City? The team moved there?
To watch a fourth straight loss.
So you could do a few games there. You can.
Like during the regular season.
Why not?
Move the Leafs ones there, just a little further east. Hope they don't show up.
Why not?
What did Andlauer say? He said something to the effect of we're putting games in London or something like that.
No, he said I think I could pull it up here quickly, but he basically was saying that we'll still have a few games. We'll go from there. They play games in Sweden. Why can't we play games in Quebec City?
There you go. Right?
Good to me.
I get the Sens fans' insecurity on this, where it's always been talked about how they have, like you said, crappy building, this, that. This has always been out there. You remember Melnick used to be like, remember when he went on? What was it that he said they're gonna?
Yeah.
This has always been a conversation with the Sens. So as soon as the new owner is like, hey, we're gonna go over there and play a couple games, as a fan of a team, I completely get where they're coming from.
The only reason it super stinks is because they're winning hockey games. They're picking up
Two
points.
great wins this weekend.
3 back-to-backs in a row. They've gone win-win, win-win, win-win.
I like their look Saturday night. I didn't watch yesterday's game, but they're a fast-moving hockey club. Yeah. I thought they outskated the Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday.
I'm dying for them to make 2 trades. Get
a big
little
one.
Yeah, get a little better. A lot better would be good. But just because everyone is in this tight pack, just give yourself that little boost.
Game time?
Yeah, let's go here. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So like we were talking about off the top of the hour, my beloved Bills are now out of the playoffs, and we're setting up the Eagles and the Chiefs in the big game. Is that what we refer to it as, the big game?
That's a joke.
The large match.
What a joke.
The large match. So I will say I've been keeping an eye on this. The Kansas City Chiefs opened up as a minus 130 favorite in that game, and it has moved from minus 130 to minus 125. The Eagles are plus 105. It is a 1.5 point spread. The Kansas City Chiefs are favored.
It is.
Here's what I'll say. I will never. I'm not betting
against Kansas City in a tight game.
I gamble a little bit in the NFL playoffs. I'm not much of a gambler, but I did a little bit of it throughout. I will say that I will be gambling, and I will be gambling heavily on the Kansas City Chiefs. You cannot go into this game. If you bet on the Eagles and lose, you are the biggest dummy ever. How can you if you at least you bet on the Chiefs and they lose, you're like, I can live with myself because I bet on them. Losing with that, it's a terrible. So anyways, that's in 2 weeks, which I absolutely hate. It takes forever for them. So you have to pick at every storyline for 2 weeks until the Grey Cup does it better. Just get it right over with right away. The next thing I'll bring up tonight, Edmonton Oilers back on the ice, playing host to the Seattle Kraken. They are minus 305 favorites on home ice against the crappy Squids.
Buddy.
Plus 245 for the Kraken on the other side. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the Kraken, they're bad. I saw Pittsburgh was playing them Friday or Saturday. I was like, Pittsburgh's going to make some annoying run where they can't close playoffs. They're going to roll over the Squids. They're just going to abused by Seattle.
Yes.
God, Pittsburgh's rotten.
They had a little stretch there where we thought they're good. And then the other Canadian team on the ice tonight, Vancouver, is in St. Louis taking on the Blues, plus 110 on the money line for the Vancouver Canucks, slight underdogs. And the St. Louis Blues on the other side of the money line, minus 130. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. It's 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Yeah, not all is well in Seattle with the commitment that they made to go get Montour
Oh, yeah.
and Stevenson.
The expectation
and
was
to
that
be
would come with.
exactly pretty much in the same spot they were last year.
Yeah.
They've committed a lot of cash to those two guys.
Well, and what stinks about those sort of commitments, it kind of reminds me of the Elias Lindholm contract, is you're committing a lot of term and money to guys who are like the 40th best player in the league and the 60th best player. You know, it's like you really want your money in on the guys who really make a difference. And these are good, nice players.
I like Montour. But 7 years, $7.1 million.
But he's been their best player.
For sure, he's a great player.
I don't think that cap hit's going to look bad. But you're right. You added, and you're no better.
And you're no better. And that's what's not sitting well right now.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Bylsma in trouble already 1 year?
no, I know it's happened in the NFL, has it not? 1 year and you're fired.
Usually 3 coaches a year have a one
1
and done
year
or something.
One and done.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a couple this year at least.
But yeah, he's feeling it. I'll say that. I don't know if I don't think his job's in jeopardy.
Yeah.
But he's feeling it.
My understanding is that there's 4 players at the top of this upcoming draft that are really significant. You know, they're players, and a couple of them that can really move the needle. You look at about 5 teams who've been trying really hard, like Nashville and Pittsburgh, who are below 500. Maybe they just pull the plug now and try to grab one of those guys. Can you see Pittsburgh finishing, low and winning the lottery and getting the next generational guy?
Yeah, is it Schaefer, the kid?
Schaefer's the D. Maybe
Yeah.
it's Hagens,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
Schaefer's apparently the guy.
That Stevenson contract's a pretty big one. 7 years, $6 million per.
Yeah. So
6.25 per. That's a big one. That's a big thing.
And what did he have last year? 40 points, 50 points?
Yeah, he's never been.
It's not like it's
giant
80.
numbers guy.
He had
What did he have last year?
his career high in points is 65 2 years ago. Last year, he was a -9, 51 points in 75 games.
Yeah.
This year,
I
he's
like
30.
him.
Like Tavares
Me too.
got 65
I like him.
points, and everyone here traded him.
But
they're like,
I'd have him at the very best second line,
yeah,
right?
he's a fine 2C, and he's not the best 2C in the league. He's good.
Flies.
Oh, yeah,
Beautiful
great
skater.
skater.
Anyways, let's go to break.
Okay, we'll go to break, and when we return, a significant defenseman for Team Canada is out of the Four Nations face-off. We'll give you a name and a possible replacement or two when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, pushing all the right buttons. Derek Brandeo and James Wilson. Wilson.
Jimmy.
Wilson!
Jimmy Willie. Scared me there. It looks scary.
I love that movie.
It's a class.
But yeah, a volleyball.
Totally
They
underrated.
talked to a volleyball for 2.5 hours. Way to go, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks rules.
It holds up big time.
Haven't played
Holds
D for
up.
Canada.
I watched it like in the last, I think, 3 or 4 yees, and I hadn't seen it since it first came out, and I was blown away by how good it was.
Yeah.
It's totally.
Are you
great.
guys nervous flyers?
I am literally asleep within 3 minutes of every plane
I
I'm ever on.
love flying. It's ever leaves
I
me
do
alone. I
too.
read a book for like 3
Oh,
hours.
I snore.
Did you get-
I wake up with drool on my shirt.
Did you get nervous at all?
No.
Once in a while.
I broke in the league. We were commercial flying,
Mhm.
and Dale Hunter. Every time there was turbulence, he'd start like, no. He'd grasp the handles,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, "We're going down. We're going
You're
down."
helpful,
And
Dale.
I'm like,
Thank you.
Dale. Like it's just not us.
Yeah.
Like you know.
They can hear you. My children can hear. That's
We're
very funny.
going down.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't say that.
But it does. Like, there is no really scarier feeling than when you're on a plane and you're going through some and that drop.
I'm not
That
going to say I
drop-
think it's cool.
No, that drop in turbulence is like, oh
it
my
takes
God.
1 second to be
Yeah.
like, oh,
We're
God.
going down. And I'm Dale Hunter.
There is one small part of me that believes if it did, I'll survive.
Will you just jump right before impact
Yeah.
that plane?
I would think, like, who's the Captain Sully, right?
Yeah.
New York, landed in the Hudson River.
Yeah. Good movie.
Like, and I've already gone through my mind after I survive which talk shows I'll do first on the circuit, books, movies.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, good luck.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Is this
bud.
Friday?
I hope we never have to find that
Is
out.
this Friday's show where we've run out of things to say?
Unfortunately, it's Monday.
Oh, it's
We got 4 to go, brother.
All right. As we teed up just prior, Team Canada will not have one of its anchors on defense for the upcoming Four Nations face-off. The Vegas Golden Knights announcing Sunday Alex Pietrangelo has withdrawn from the Best on Best tournament to tend to an ailment and to prepare for the remainder of the regular season. Wow.
And he's not going to miss any games. He's fine. He's just making a statement about what's important to him.
Like, what are we doing here?
I'm disgusted by this.
Oh, no.
Truly disgusted.
At Petro.
Yes. Of
What is
course.
going on here?
I mean, I put out a tweet about this yesterday, and I was blown away by how many people are on Pietrangelo's side. There's like everybody is. Why are we even having the tournament then?
We are
Cancel the tournament.
We're shutting the league down to start something.
These guys begged for this. They've begged for this for however many years. Best on best, best on best, a lack of best on best. And the first, an ailment, brother? An ailment? And you're playing? It's a terrible look for the league.
Do I have that right? He's not missing NHL
He
games
played
right now?
20 minutes last night.
What does that tell?
Wow.
What does that say to the other guys that are going?
Well, I mean,
You're more important to rest for your cup run, and I've got to go now play Team Finland in Montreal at -10 while my teammates are on a beach.
In Cabo?
yeah, I guess it's not so much like they're only going to play 3 additional games or whatever the number is. It's low.
It's not a high impact schedule they're on here.
But yeah. But, there it is just the time that you have to put into it, right? There's some practice. You need to know what system we play and who
Team
you're playing
meetings.
with. Team meetings. It's the time.
It's work.
And so it's tough to take it seriously that it's about the physical aspect when you can play now and you're only being asked to play. I think it's 3 more games, right? You would play each team
And then a final.
once and then a final.
Correct. So it's 4 games max.
Right. So, yeah, I'll be honest. I came onto this show with the intent of being like, good for him, leader, captain, prioritizing the Stanley Cup, whatever. I heard from you guys for 4 seconds. And I'm like, God, that stinks, actually.
I could just cancel the tournament then. If guys can just drop out for no reason because they want to
Like
focus.
Sid missing an all-star game.
Well, I mean, then they announced today that there's no penalty. Bill Daly said there's no penalty for missing this. But like, if
Or
I'm
should there be? You want guys who want to be there.
but if I'm McDavid, I'm like, yeah. I just got suspended for 3 games. We just went to the Stanley Cup final last year. Like, why am I playing? I should leave too. I got an ailment.
Somebody, like,
Maybe he's
I don't want to
bad.
like jinx anybody, but somebody's going to get hurt in this tournament. You assume somebody's going to pull a groin, something, but like, heaven forbid the Edmonton Oilers lose somebody significant and then end up playing Vegas in a conference final, and one guy's gone because of the tournament, and one guy got to stay in because of the tournament, potentially.
Watch them take Bouchard, and then Bouchard gets hurt.
my
And they
God,
go into the
imagine
first
that.
round against each other,
Right?
or conference final.
But
against
it's
each
like,
other.
those are all the dynamics, and it doesn't just stem to those guys. Like, we saw a trade Friday night. The significant part of that is we want to make this trade before the Four Nations. There was some worry out of Carolina and Colorado that Rantanen could go to this tournament for Finland and get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's off.
Really?
Yes.
Carolina's like, we're doing it now or we're
Now.
not doing it.
Now.
So, I mean, like, one of the things I saw a ton of is, and we're getting texts on the text lines like, oh, this is just a stupid tournament. Well, is it? It's a. So
it
it's
is
a,
or it isn't. We're either in on it mattering.
Yeah, so it's sure you can make that argument. It's a stupid tournament, but every super duper star in the league is going to it. Like it's not like
It's not stupid when the best players on earth are all
but that's
there.
what everyone's saying. It's like, oh, it's a stupid made up tournament. It's like, then why are we?
Leon Draisaitl, so it's not.
I mean,
it's not everybody.
It's not everybody, but I mean, there's a lot of good ones going.
Listen,
For the four biggest countries,
I don't like. It's not perfect by any stretch, but like you got to start somewhere. You've got to plant the seed. We've pissed too many years away.
Buddy, everyone just wants to see Canada and the U.S. best on best.
No Olympics and no World Cups.
This isn't even about the four nations face-off. This is Canada versus the USA.
It's your first chance to play best on best.
If they lose to Sweden or Finland, everyone's going to go, okay, way to go, Sweden or Finland. You want to beat the U.S. And so to not have an important piece, and I'm a part of a show tomorrow night for Hockey Central, or who do you think it should be? Who should step in? And I don't like what's behind it, behind Petro.
Is Pietrangelo not like your second pair guy behind Makar? And like he is a really important cog for this team.
Drew Doughty is trying to come back and be healthy enough. They want to see him play some games.
He's going to play soon.
Yeah.
Right?
He's expected
and he wants
to be back
to
soon.
play in this tournament.
Very much he does.
And I'm thinking, based on his history with Team Canada, he's got to be up there.
He's got to beat out
potential replacement.
Bouchard, Hamilton,
Uyghur,
Tanev. I think Tanev is a very viable option for them. You got
beach.
You want him on the beach.
Beach.
But that I'm just saying, like, Petro's a sizable step up from that class of player. So it's a shame. I wonder if this hurts him when it comes to the Olympics in 2 years.
How could it not?
Someone getting older, if he's a fringe guy at that point, is this
how many guys on Team USA and Team Canada have to worry about looking good in this tournament to jeopardize their Olympic spot?
Some.
15%?
You think it's that low?
Yes.
Most of the guys, it's like, yeah, of course we're taking Makar. If he's a bad tournament, who cares?
I think there's 15 guys.
Yeah.
16 guys. I think we're talking about 3 or 4, right?
So what does it say when you have a guy that's come out, a guy that's been out all year since the preseason with a really bad injury, older guy? What does it say about him who's like, I'm dying to play for this team? All I want to do is play for this team. And Petron's like, I got an ailment. I want to.
But, we don't know the Petro thing. We don't know the Petro thing. Like, maybe it's something quite serious that he's been battling.
Listen, I'm not completely dumping on him.
Yeah.
Because
I'll be the one that does. I'll be the bad guy.
You can. He's
because I care about this stuff.
Me,
but a lot of people don't.
Stanley Cup champion. This guy's bled a lot. He's pissed a lot for clubs to win.
Sure.
And if that's where he's at right now, and his heart and soul's not into it, don't go.
It's as simple as if he's sitting here going, would you rather have a Four Nations or a Stanley Cup? The answer is Stanley Cup. I've prioritized that.
Whatever the case is, I think he's earned the right, for me personally.
Sure.
But
I mean,
it's a tough look.
You know who else has earned the right?
For the league.
What you think.
It's a tough look for the league and the NHLPA.
You know who else has earned the right? Literally every guy at this tournament.
Yeah, tough to make a case anyone has.
Like who hasn't?
Seth Jarvis can't. He doesn't get to.
Every guy has been in every battle, of cup winners and studs in the league. All the best players out that are for these 4 teams are going, and they're making an effort. They've all earned the right to not go. Just cancel the damn thing.
All right.
Anyways,
we beat it up.
Okay.
No, and you know what I'm excited about?
Of course, it's Vegas too, boys.
Yeah.
Of course, it's Vegas.
I guess.
Cheaty team.
I guess the league and the Players Association are giving complete carte blanche to television to cover this thing. So it's going to have a bit of a different look.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're going to have access. They're going to have so much access. Bench access, cameras, scrums.
Like way more than normal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's an NHL product finally.
You know the World Juniors?
Fantastic.
You know the World Juniors when they had that camera jump on like on a fight or a scrum or something? Like this guy will be like all over the place.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
The Kachuk
And that
U.S. scrums are going to be delightful.
that may have something to do with the league looking for a new television deal.
Makes some
Wink,
sense
wink.
here.
Yeah, give him a little something, something. Here's
What
what
do
we
you
can do.
Yeah.
You like what you see? It's going to cost you.
A lots to look forward to still.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and this won't change my perspective and enjoyment of the tournament, which I'm really excited for. But
Just needed to get that off our chest collectively, apparently.
Yep.
All right.
What else is out there tickling your fancy?
Well, we got the Sens showing signs of maturing under pressure. They won 3 straight back-to-backs.
Oh, Logan Thompson.
Oh, all right.
That too.
Yeah, Logan Thompson is a 6
6-year
years,
deal.
5.75.
You know who else I like
Where's
is
5.85?
his partner in crime there, Charlie Lindgren. He needs a new contract too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Gotta figure
But
what's going on with him.
full credit, man, to this guy.
You know, the Thompson deal is great for both sides to me. He's been a good goalie in the league. He's having a great year. He's young enough. He's earned it. He's earned that contract, but he's also denying himself the chance to be a $10 million goalie if he does it another couple times. So it's possible that Washington has a legitimate, very good starter for under $6 million, which is tough to come by. It's a good
How
contract.
many years? 6?
It's a lot of years. 6.
Buddy, 30 plus, large. This guy's all set,
Yeah.
right?
That's
I don't
his
need-
contract. Life is made with that contract.
Oh,
Congrats to your grandkids.
But yeah, I think it's a really good contract for both sides. Where him getting, he's a backup in Vegas, and him getting that sort of security, and then them getting him at what seems like a good number. You just hope he's this good.
When has this ever gone wrong, Tristan Jarry, Jack Campbell? You can start running through the list of guys making 5
Goalies
times
are
5 times
very
6, they're just
scary.
gone.
Very scary.
Yeah.
watching Kale McCarr and
Oh my God.
Quinn Hughes on the weekend. Like, they're just like, they just do whatever they want.
There's defensemen. They should have a separate award. There's like defensemen, then there's McCarr and Hughes. It's not, they're not doing the same thing as the rest of them.
They are like, they're turning into a Crosby Ovechkin of this generation.
Totally. Great call.
Love that.
I mean, watching McCarr against the Rangers jumping up in the play and I don't know if you saw the end of the Rangers game where Miller tries to go D to D with 20 seconds left as McCarr gets out of the box. Dumb.
And then
dumb decision, and McCarr made him pay.
McCarr just one stride strip, gone the other way.
By the way, he one-touched the interception and put it into a perfect place for his next 3 strides. It was
I love watching him play.
Yeah.
God,
It is something.
yeah.
Quinn Hughes hasn't locked up the Norris with the way he's played this year is a true testament to how exceptional McCarr is.
The 2 goals Quinn Hughes scores on
Yeah.
Saturday night, backhand through the slot, crossbody, shoots it into a puck-sized
cannot
hole.
Underestimate like what that type of control does for a hockey club when you can walk lines and make something out of nothing,
Yeah.
and there's just not enough of them.
And there's going to be like a McHughes award or something when they're both retired to the best
Offensive
human.
defenseman.
Just the best human.
The most perfect guy.
Most perfect guy gets it.
All right, our Monday is now officially in the books. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole show, you can download it and watch it on YouTube. Plenty of ways to still get your real Kyper and Bourne if you're not
Rate,
lucky enough
review.
to watch us live. Hey, Sammy,
Yeah.
I'm sure you got better things to do, in all honesty,
Then watch us?
than watch us live.
It would be a nightmare to go back and watch.
Hey, so I'm in Oshawa, and all I heard was like, Sammy, how's Sammy? How's JB? A little bit, but Sammy.
Well, I go
I'm like,
to Junior Barnes, bud. They
Oh
love me in
my
Junior Barnes.
God.
I'm a junior
Enough.
hockey guy.
Enough of Sammy. Our thanks to Craig Simpson, Stanley Cup champion, and Elliotte Friedman from Hockey Night in Canada. Enjoy your games, and we're back tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne.